Hi, it's Lee and welcome to Mr. B's Bees. I wanted to start this channel more than anything really just to keep a video history of my first year in beekeeping. So beekeeping is something that I've thought about doing in the past but never really had the time. Obviously with the current COVID situation I did have a little bit more time spare. I was spending a lot of time in the garden trying to put plants in to encourage native bees to come, so bumblebees, just any kind of bee really that I could get to come into the garden. So I saw an advert on Facebook for flow hives, and without giving it any thought I ordered myself one straight away. So I had no previous knowledge of beekeeping. Like plenty of guys out there, I typically get something in my head and off I go. That's it, I'll buy it and I'll deal with it as I go along. So what I've been trying to do is study as much as possible. I've been reading a lot of books just to try and learn as much as I can. So what I wanted to do was just take a video history of hive inspections, just to look back on. Really, because when you're doing a hive inspection and you are new to beekeeping, it's pretty hectic. Everything happens at once. You know what you're supposed to be looking for, but you don't always see it because it's a little bit hectic. So that's the reason why I started to record these hive inspections. I then thought, well, why not share that with other people? I've been reading a lot of forum posts and Facebook messages from other beekeepers that have started this year. Obviously with COVID, they're not getting any support because the local societies aren't having meetings, they're not doing training. It's very difficult to get in a situation where you can watch somebody else do a hive inspection. So what I thought I would do is just to record these videos and just share them with other people. There'll be plenty of new beekeepers out there, I'm sure, that will enjoy watching along and will sympathise with the mistakes that I make. I'm sure there'll be plenty of experienced beekeepers as well, tutting and blowing, shaking their heads and probably thinking, why is he doing that? So if you're one of those, feel free to drop comments below and I'll happily take advice from anybody. So today I'm going to be inspecting what I like to call my French colony of bees on this side. So I got this colony from a society member who was packing up and moving to France. He put a post on Facebook just asking if anybody wanted an established colony. So I picked the colony up from him. I brought it to my house and I transferred the frames into a nucleus box. So he'd taken one of his hives and it looked like he'd performed a split. So his hive had 5 frames in it, with a queen, with some brood, with some stores. So I positioned his hive in the position where I was going to have my hive. I left it overnight so that they could acclimatise. So the following day I brought my hive out with the intent of doing a swap, moving the frames from his hive into my hive and adding some extra frames. I didn't realise that the bottom board was not attached to his hive, so when I lifted his hive up to move it out of position, the floor fell off. The bees fell out, they went mental, and I learnt a harsh lesson that day, and that is to respect bees. So they gave me an absolute pasting. I'd not zipped up my suit properly, so there was a little gap just around the throat area where you put your Velcro down to seal it up, and a couple of bees got inside. I took the first ever bee sting that I've ever had directly to the Adam's apple, so I was panicking a little bit. There was nobody else in the house either, so I was really worried at that point. There were bees buzzing around inside my helmet. I'd taken a sting to the throat, I took another sting to the ear, I took a sting to the cheek. Obviously with me dropping the bees, they were pretty annoyed with me, shall we say, so they were all over me, they were stinging me through my suit. I think I took 6 or 7 stings on that day. So as I said, I really learnt to respect bees on that day. So since then, I've done a couple of more inspections, and what I did notice was quite a lot of dead bees on the floor. And after checking them out, I noticed that they had deformed wing virus. Deformed wing virus is a virus which is caused by having varroa mite within the hive. So I've got a mesh floor on the flow hives, and I put the board underneath just to do a mite check. I left that for 24 hours, pulled it out, and there were about 40 or 50 varroa mite on the board. So I knew at that point that I needed to treat them. So 2 weeks ago, when I did my last hive inspection, I put in a tray of Apiguard. I'll not talk too much about varroa mite treatment today. What I'll do is do a second video just to show how I did that and the research that I did around treating for varroa mite. So what I'm looking to do today is just to see what state the colony is actually in. The last time I checked, when I put the Apiguard on, I did it pretty quickly, so I didn't shake all the bees off the frames. I just wanted to get in, have a quick check, put the Apiguard on and leave them alone. What I want to check is for queen cells today, because the inspection prior to that I did see 1 or 2 queen cups which I took down. What I want to make sure, obviously, because I've not given them a thorough inspection, is that they're not looking to swarm. It is a little bit late in the season anyway, so here in Derbyshire we're in the 2nd week of July, and from what I read, typically around this time of year swarming starts to slow down a little bit anyway. So what I've also read is when you treat with Apiguard, the queen can sometimes stop laying eggs. So one of my goals today is to have a look through those frames and just make sure that there are some eggs there. So I will be looking for eggs, I'll be looking for larvae, I'll be looking for seal brood, I'll be checking to see if there are any queen cells or queen cups. So to do that thoroughly, I'm going to have to shake all the bees off the frames. So it should be quite exciting. Also, if I do see the queen, because I've not spotted her in this hive yet, I am going to try and catch her and mark her. So this is something that can be quite intimidating, or I find it intimidating for a brand new beekeeper. So I've got a couple of tactics. I've got a queen catcher which I may use, and I've also got a crown of thorns which I can just put straight over the queen on the comb. I may do that if she's on a piece of comb that hasn't got brood or larva on it, but if she is on a piece of comb that has got brood or larvae on there, then I may just try and take her off and put her onto something else and try and mark her that way. But we'll see, I'm not too worried. The last couple of inspections, I've seen eggs, I've seen pollen, I've seen stores, I've seen larvae, I've seen capped brood. So they are doing quite well and I'm not too worried. What I'll do next time is inspect this hive.